Hi everyone, today we are working on lesson 2, part 2 with comparing rational and irrational numbers. Our main focus today is going to be a little bit of review with inequalities, but then we're really going to work hard on ordering from least to greatest and greatest to least. Now this is my last lesson video for the week. Tomorrow you have a practice worksheet or a practice page to work on, so we're going to see if you can do that on your own. And Friday is going to be your evidence of learning that you need to submit to me by Friday at 2:15. If you plan on submitting it not through Schoology, just make sure you have everything set. You know that someone's going to drop it off in the Dropbox, or you call the main office to have it picked up by bus, or send me an email, remind, lots of different ways to submit. If you have any questions, let me know.
All right, starting from the Learning from Home folder again, week of 5/4/2020. We are on lesson 2, part 2, the Wednesday lesson. I'm going to click on the lesson right from here today, and it should take you to your lesson notes. Okay, so today, again, we are working more with comparing rational and irrational numbers. Our learning target is the same as yesterday. I can compare rational and irrational numbers using a number line, ordering techniques, and inequalities. So let's jump right into some examples. Directions. Compare the following numbers using the following symbols. Remember, this symbol, the one that looks like an L, is the less than symbol. The other one is the greater than, and this should look very familiar, our equal sign. When we compare numbers, like we did on the previous lesson, we made all of our numbers into the same form. So like if they were decimals, we made them all into decimals, so on and so forth, because I suggested that it's easier to compare decimals with decimals rather than having like a square root and a regular number. So like this first example, we have the square root of 2 and the number 2. So I'm just going to see if I can get out of there. I'm just going to write the number equivalent beneath it. So the square root of 2, type into your calculator, and we get an irrational number, but I'm just going to do some estimating, 1.4142 approximately. Oops, didn't give me that much space. So I'm going to move over here. 2 is just the number 2, okay? So I'm not even going to write that in there, mainly because the doc is giving me an issue right now. But just keep in mind, I'm going to kind of go through this slowly at first, and then we'll kind of pick up the pace a little bit. So again, if we line up our decimals, now if you don't see a decimal with a number, like the 2, remember there's always an invisible decimal. It just comes right at the end of the number. So this would be 2.0, and we can fill in those other zeros. But hopefully you can tell right off the bat that looking at our first set of numbers in the ones place here, that the 2 is going to be bigger. So we know that the alligator is going to eat that 2. So the square root of 2 is less than 2. Okay, so let's try the next one. We've got the square root of 9. Type that into your calculator. You should get 3, and we want to compare that to 3. So hopefully you can tell those are exactly the same, so those are going to be equal. All right, the next one, we have 38 divided by 9, which is 4.222 forever and ever. So I'm going to write out that decimal, 4.222, and it keeps going forever and ever and ever. And then we have regular 4.2. Now, there is no repeating signs on here. There's no little bar over it saying it repeats. So that means it's just 4.2 and that's it. That means the rest of these are zeros. Okay, so that doesn't help us. That doesn't help us. Right here, it tells us that that 2 is going to be bigger. So the repeating number is bigger. So that's my 38 over 9. So 38 over 9 is greater than 4.2. This one should be easy. Why? Because we've got a negative and a positive. If we've got a negative and a positive, we know that negatives are always going to be smaller. You can do it by writing out the decimals, that's fine, but might as well, if we know a trick, might as well use it. All right, let's scroll down. Looks like this 2 is just going to follow me along here. You might actually have to erase that for the next couple of problems. All right, so it says write the following numbers in the given order. So because we are keeping this type of notation here, it might be helpful for you to type in the math symbols. If you need to know how to do that, you can click this link right here. Okay, I will walk through it with you right now though as well. So we are comparing from greatest to least. Okay, so what I suggest is there's a space under here for you to show your work, which we're really going to want to because I see a fraction, a decimal, and a square root. So let's get those all into the same form. So let's type in 19 divided by 25. That's the first number. And we've got 0.76. Okay, next one is already a decimal, 0.33. Next one, already a decimal, 0.68. Square root of 1, type that into your calculator if you're not sure what that is. It's just a 1. Okay, since we're dealing with these decimals with 2 decimal places right now, I'm just going to fill that 1 in so that it matches the way the other ones look. And then we have 0.5. Again, I'm going to fill in another 0 because, again, we're all working with the same, or with 2 decimal places. So we are looking for greatest to least. That means biggest number to smallest number. So let's look on the left at our first column. Hopefully you're able to see this 1 is going to be the biggest number. Now, if you notice, we don't have a 1 up here, okay? The 1 was equivalent to the square root of 1. So that's how I'm going to start writing my answer. So the square root of 1 is the greatest number. So to write the square root symbol, you're going to go up to Insert, Equation. Then you should see this equation editor up here. On the 1, 2, 3, 4th icon, click on that and you should see where it says square root of x. Click that and we get the square root symbol and we're going to type in a 1. And press the right arrow key to get out of the square root symbol. And press it again to get out of the equation, but let's not get out of the equation editor right now. You are always in the equation editor when you see this blue box around the expression. If you tap one more out, you see now we're out of the equation. You would just have to type in new equation and the box would pop back up again. Okay, so we took care of the 1, which related to the square root of 1. So I'm going to just erase it. The next one, so we're looking again for the biggest number. The 0 is not going to help us here. The next, in the 10th place, we have a 5, 6, 3, and 7. Which one's biggest? The 7. So my next greatest number is 0.76. However, I don't see this up here. Which number did that correspond to? Take a minute, figure it out. And it's the 19 over 25. So that's what we're going to type in next. Now I clicked up here, my equation didn't pop in, so I'm just going to write new equation. Now this is a fraction. Yes, you can do the backslash to represent a fraction, but you can also go up to that same icon and there's an A over B. And then you just write 19, arrow to the right to get to the denominator, 25. And there's our next number. I'm going to delete that. Okay, next biggest one, 0.68. That one's just a plain old decimal. And that one didn't come up in the equation editor, but it's a basic number, so that's not a problem. Next biggest one, 0.5. And lastly, 0.33. So we have our biggest number coming first, and then our least number at the end. Right? All right. So that's how you order those numbers. You write them out, compare them using the decimals, and then get your answer. All right, number 6 says descending order. If it's descending, if you are descending, that means you're going down. So that means we are starting with our biggest number to our smallest number. Okay, I want you to pause the video and go ahead and do this one on your own. Okay, check your work with my work. I left my work up here for you to see. It was really tricky though without like eliminating it as I wrote it down. So I strongly recommend doing that. Again, also I'm human, I make mistakes. So if you see a mistake on one of these videos, please make sure you let me know so I can correct it. All right, so we've got a few more down here. So let's do another one. Yeah, we can do number 7 together and then we'll do 7 together. So let me just, I'm still on the table here. Where am I on that? Okay, so what I want you to do is I'm just gonna, let's see, does that move us over? It does move us over. So if you have to move with your adjusting there, just move to the left-hand side of the page. Okay, so now we are going from least to greatest. Now, if you notice, we've got positive and negative numbers first. So what I recommend is, depending on what you're starting with, like right now we're starting with the least, so that means we want to work with our negatives first. So we're only going to do negative numbers first, okay? So we have negative 4.5 and negative 4 1/5. So let's convert that, and that is negative 4.2. Any other negatives? Doesn't look like it. So now be careful. Which one is the smallest? It's going to be negative 4.5 because that's the most negative. Okay, then we've got negative 4.2, but that's written as a fraction. So let's do that equation editor. I'm going to type in the negative 4, and then I'm going to go and make a fraction 1/5. Okay, our negatives are done. All right, next we've got the square root of 7. Type it into your calculator. Irrational number, 2.645. I'm just going to leave it at that, 0.645. If we're going to need more decimal values as we go on, then I'll come back to that. Next one, 23/5. Simplify that, and that simplifies to 4.6. And then we've got this long number, 4.182. Now it has a dot, dot, dot. That means it goes on forever, okay? But there's no showing of any repetition, like no repeating decimals. It doesn't say anything is repeating, so just be careful with that. Okay, so we're going from least to greatest. So let's figure out our smallest number. Hopefully you can see that right off the bat. 2.645 is going to be our smallest number. Don't see it up here. That was our square root of 7. So going to new equation, square root symbol, 7. All right, took care of that one. Next smallest number. The 4s aren't going to help us, but the 6 and the 1 do. So it's that long decimal with the dot, dot, dot that's coming next. 4.182, dot, dot, dot. And then lastly is going to be the 23/5. Okay, so new equation, typing in that fraction, 23/5. Whatever they add, like some of you guys might be saying, why can't I just write 4.6? Well, 4.6 was never given to you. So you need to be able to identify that 4.6 is equivalent to 23/5. Okay, so you have to always use the numbers that they give you. Okay, 7a is asking you about rational and irrational. It says, is the number 4.182182 with the bar above it, dot, 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 rational or irrational, and why? So up here, there's no way for us to tell if that's actually going to repeat or not, because there's no math symbol to tell us that. Down here, there is. It says that this is going to repeat. It's going to go 182, 182, 182, 182, so on and so forth. If you remember, now, actually, if you have a calculator, one of our scientific calculators, grab it and type in 4.182, 182, 182. Keep going until you get tired, 182. Press enter, second PRB, and you should see a fraction is created. Now, if we can create a fraction from it, that means it is rational. Okay, why is it rational? Because it can be made into a fraction. It's countable. It is infinite, meaning it goes on forever, but it's still rational. All right, number 9, pause the video, do this one on your own. Before you do though, just remember ascending now is the opposite of descending. So we are getting bigger. So we start with our smaller number and we get larger. Okay, check your work with my work. If you weren't sure how to type in the pi symbol, just gonna give you an example. If we type in new equation, it's in the first icon. Okay, and it is right here. And that's how you type in the pi symbol. All right, that's all I got for us for lesson 2, part 2. Tomorrow's lesson is going to be a practice. So there's no video going along with that, just seeing if you can do it on your own. But if you have any questions, please make sure you reach out to me. Make sure you self-assess for today's lesson as well.